in any other week, it'd be a massive news story. But obviously, the European Super League took precedence this week. He lost his job on Monday. What do you make of that decision? Is it a funny timing for you, or does it all work out?
I don't know, work out. I mean, there must have been some serious breakdown between the club and Jose for that to happen. That's pretty clear. I did laugh. You know, when he was getting interviewed by Gary Cottrell on Sky, and he's interviewing him, and Jose doing this clip with his phone, and then he says to Gary, 1.9 million followers, Gary. I was thinking, you tell everyone about your achievements and winning all the leagues, and now you're telling everyone. Is that where it's got to, Jose? You're telling Gary Cottrell that you've got 1.9 million followers. Is that where...
Oh, I'm probably one of them, so I'm part of that problem.
Yeah, it was... It's the happiest I've seen him. Okay? It's been sacked, and he was laughing, and I thought... Wow, was that a relief to you that you're away from Spurs? Did things obviously behind the scenes not really go that well? It's very tough because I've said this and I have to stand by what I've said. I think football has moved on, has evolved and changed. I think being a great defensive coach and trying to make teams win in a certain manner where you basically suffocate them if you can. And ironically, he did that to Man City and they beat them this season and done it brilliantly well. That if you do that week in, week out, you're not going to win enough games, enough points. And we talked about the American influence in football. Well, that certainly happened in the way the games developed because they like high-scoring sports with games to win. And, and we've seen that. It's really hard to be a great defensive coach now in the modern game because the laws are against you. VAR's being introduced. So I think Jose really suffered from that.
So does that mean for you, perhaps it's all over for Jose in terms of being a Premier League manager?
Well, he's only going to be wanting a big job, isn't he? So it's not going to be a Premier League team that's going to struggle. That's not going to be on Jose. He's achieved too much. He's been one of the great managers in Premier League history, without a doubt. So I don't see that. I only see really abroad... I think it's a tough one for Jose. Unless he reinvents himself slightly and has a far more ambitious way of playing, I can't see him doing a great job and being successful. I think it's very hard for him.
They've obviously gone down the previous, obviously, to Jose Mourinho. They went with Mauricio Pochettino. Obviously, spent a long time at Tottenham, but he was still relatively new to the management scene, especially in the Premier League, having been at Southampton and then moved to Tottenham. So they went with the sort of, shall we say, inexperienced Pochettino to the tried and tested Jose Mourinho. Neither has resulted in any trophy, which is ultimately what they want. So who do they go with? Who can bring them success that they're
predicting
clearly
the
wanting?
new Tottenham manager? I mean, I'm always afraid to speak about new manager's job because you really haven't got a clue. You can throw names out there, you can suggest people, which I do, but without much conviction because you don't know what the club are thinking. You don't know what their idea of what type of manager they want in. Obviously, success and a name because you have to appease the fans. You have to give them someone that excite the fans. I mentioned Bielsa, but I think there's no chance he's leaving Leeds. He's at a great football club. He's done an incredible job there, but I'd love to see that type of manager. I'm not sure about Nagelsmann because I've watched his Hoffenheim team and I've watched Leipzig, and I said to you before, it's the dream draw if you want to play attacking football because they're sometimes a bit too gung-ho at Leipzig and his approach. I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think Steven Gerrard will be, again, he's at an incredible football club in Glasgow Rangers, but I think what he's done and shown as a very young manager, there's no doubt in my mind that Stevie Gerrard will go on to a very big job. Most people go, well, that's obvious, that's Liverpool. There'll be a club before Liverpool, I'm pretty sure.
We heard, though, from
whether that's Rangers or whether it's someone else.
Well, we heard from Darren Bent and Ali McCoist in that little clip we played just before we started talking. They both went with Brendan Rodgers. Yeah,
an attractive, but Brendan has got a very, very good side there and a far poorer team at Tottenham at the moment than them. I think that's pretty clear. Brendan's walked away before. He walked away, and Celtic fans were, up in arms about Brendan leaving. Would he do the same for I don't know. I think Leicester are very, very competitive. They spend good money.
Where are they at? Are they at a similar level, those two? Or
not at the moment. Leicester are a better club. They're going to probably make the Champions League. I think it's a tough one. If I was Brendan, I certainly wouldn't want to be leaving that squad behind. I would want to stay with it and stay with a football club and owners that he seems to really get on with. I mean, we don't know the dynamics of what happened at Celtic between his relationship with the owners and him. He's at a football club that looked very progressive and looked like they're going to have a very good team for a while.
Just lastly and very quickly on Tottenham, is part of the problem as well for Tottenham that we know that they don't splash the cash that often, and is that an issue perhaps for some managers thinking about, really, is that a club I want to go? No, you're not having that.
Nat, you have to pay the going rate. You just have to. If this thing, I just think Tottenham are paid, and I'm told this in different ways on the contracts of the players for incentives, and they're paid, they're rewarded. You can't underpay people, otherwise they go. You can't underpay Harry Kane. He'd go.
But is Tottenham going to be the same proposition without Harry Kane, which I know he's still very much a Tottenham player, but there is suggestions this summer he may come out and may want to leave. He said he's only going to wait until the summer to discuss his future. So are they going to be the same proposition for a manager?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. This job is probably the toughest of all the so-called big six, whatever we want to call them. They have got the shameful six. Look at their stadium, new stadium. Look at the players that they need to buy. Look at ones that will probably leave. I think Tottenham is the biggest challenging job in that top six to even stay there, because there's going to be a lot of change at that football club.